Hi everyone, so I wanted to check in with you guys just for a little bit, but I haven't checked in at all this week, and I wanted to let you know about my writing. So this week has actually been pretty good with writing. I haven't been wanting to update a lot because I was sick throughout the weekend and the beginning of the week. I still have a little bit of stuffiness, but today was like the best day so far, although I did have some like coughing spurts yesterday, so that was like kind of annoying, but like when I was going to bed, so I couldn't sleep very well, but I am on the mend. I think like by the end of this week I should be like pretty good. I just got like a random cold at the end of last week because I went to 2 concerts and I think I just like exhausted myself. But anyways, the writing has been better this week than last week. I have been writing every morning, and I've been writing Project K-pop, which I'll put up here with my little mood board, and I will be posting in like an aesthetic video, which I really like doing for social media, just to kind of give you guys like a taste of like what the story will look like and might entail a little bit about the storyline. So I'll be posting that today, which is Wednesday, so by the time this is up, that'll already be up. But yeah, I've been really enjoying that project. Actually, it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of turning out to be more of like a romantic comedy than I was expecting it to be. I really wanted it to be like a romance film, but also have some like heavy topics of like mental health and just like what fame can bring to a person, especially like younger people when they're in the limelight. So that's kind of like one of the main themes of the film. And yeah, I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying a lot of the characters that I have, especially like my main family that I have. So it's one female child. She's like the main character, and then she lives with her mom and dad. She is like a college student and is living with her parents to help save on money and stuff. And her mom is like kind of overbearing, and her dad is like the complete opposite of her mom and is more fun and like laid back and chill. So I kind of like the polarity of those 2 characters, and I'm actually loving how I'm writing the dad. He's like kind of funny, and I'm just trying to incorporate some like humor in there because it is gonna be like a heavy film like once the inciting incident happens. I'm trying to like lighten up the like sequence 1 and sequence 2. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun writing it, and I am just like, I was like writing this one dinner scene and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much like back and forth, and like the mom and the daughter like butt heads a lot and are like both quite stubborn. So like the dad kind of tries to meddle in and like tries to ease everyone up, or tries to ease everyone. And then we have like my main character's best friend, who is actually a K-pop idol, and he grew up in like the town they're in, and they were best friends, and he's like in town for a concert, and then like something happens with the band, so he goes to have dinner with the family and to like catch up, and because like his family lives in South Korea now, so he's Korean American, so he like grew up in America, but then his family moved to Korea like once he decided to become an idol. So he was at the dinner and like all this stuff was happening, and he was trying to like be on Richard's side, or that's the dad's name, but he was trying to be on like the dad's side and try to like ease everything, but he was also kind of making it worse. So it's kind of like this like funny like dinner scene, but also like kind of dramatic, and it's actually kind of fun to write. I don't know, like right now it's kind of short, but I don't like, one issue I have with dialogue is that I do a lot of like back and forth, and like sometimes my scenes can go on for too long. So I'm trying to make it quicker and like kind of cut to the chase like a little bit, but like make it start off kind of like easy or like little jabs here and there, and then it kind of like blows up like at the end. So that's kind of like my goal with this scene. But I really like how the sequence 1 is turning out as well, because that's kind of like you're setting the scene, you're setting the world and the tone, and just like I really love writing sequence 1s of films, like the status quo portion of the film. And yeah, I feel like the middle part is like the hardest for me, but I have a good sense of like what I potentially want to do. Like I have beats of like the ends of certain like major beats, like the midpoint and like all that, but it's just like how to get there is what I'm trying to figure out. I'm having a lot of fun writing it, and that's all that I've written this week is that project, but that's because I'm like in a groove and like in a rhythm with that project. So that's what I've been writing the past 3 days. So it's been fun, and I have not written anything in the book that I'm writing, The Between. So I might write that over the weekend because I'm really in a groove of like writing this project. So I think I'm gonna like juggle between these two, but I typically write multiple projects at once. Like I can't really write a lot. Like I can't write one project because I will start thinking about another project and my mind kind of drifts in like the current project that I'm working on. So I like to work on multiple projects at once. So these are like the two big ones that I'm working on right now. And then I have a couple of other ones that like I'll write scenes of, like if I am thinking about that story. I haven't touched Project Mercy at all, but it's still like in the back of my brain. Like I do want to write something in that world. I just like, I think I have to develop the world a little more before I get into that one. So I haven't spent a lot of time on that one. I have like a sports drama that I also have like in the back of my mind. I started writing this like a while ago, but I never got into, like I never finished it. And I came up with the world in grad school. So I like want to write it. It's just like, I want it to be different than a lot of the sports dramas that I know and that I've watched, and I'm trying to figure out like how it's going to be different. But like I had an idea for the teaser, so I just like wrote out the teaser one night for that one. Like whenever I have an idea of like a story, I immediately write it down, so that like I don't forget it. And that also happened to, I think I mentioned about this one, but I have like a dystopian idea that I have in mind, and I haven't like, I've outlined a little bit on the world, but I haven't really developed a lot from it. I had a scene play out in my head from it, so I like wrote that scene down and I was like having a fun time. But sometimes my worlds come together and like I accidentally use like the same character name. So I have to like change the character name because I don't want them to get confused. That is the updates on the projects. And yeah, I'm curious like what, like if you are a writer, like do you like working on one project at a time, or do you like working on multiple projects at a time? I think I'm so used to writing multiple projects at a time because of grad school, because we worked on a lot of projects. We worked on a film, we worked on TV show, we worked on a spec script, like we worked on a bunch of different stuff at the same time. So I feel like my mind is still in that. And then I also feel like what happens when I write like one story at a time, like I come to a stopping point at like I get bored with it. So I think working on these different projects will help me finish things. It might be a little slower than like if I were to focus on one, but I also don't know. I feel like it, like when I work on one, it just takes forever for me to finish. So yeah, we'll see. I actually like, I wrote pretty fast this morning, and because I was like in the groove of writing the scene. So yeah, it's been fun. But I will talk to you guys later. Again, I'm trying not to do a ton of updates because I don't want these to be too long for you guys. I kind of want to have a sweet spot of where this where these vlogs should be. I honestly wasn't sure if I was gonna vlog this week, but I had like stuff to say about what I was writing. So that is what I have to say, and I'm going to make dinner now, I think, potentially. I'm just gonna make spaghetti, so it's not gonna be very difficult. I just have to chop some vegetables. I have pesto sauce, I think, that I can use, and I have leftover like taco meat that I'll just throw in there, and I have mushrooms and zucchini. So I'm trying to get more fibrous vegetables into my stomach. Hi guys, so I wanted to share with you a kind of a Bible, or like a world building Bible for the novel I'm currently writing. So this is called The Between. It is a urban fantasy, but kind of more like modern. Like essentially there's like another world that my main characters go into. So kind of like a portal fantasy, if you will. And there's like a mystery going on because one of their friends goes missing, believed to be dead, but they don't know, they have no memory of like what happened. So they basically try to figure out what happened to her, and yeah, they try to like get bits and pieces of like what happened the night she was potentially murdered. So I made this little like world building, I'm gonna call it a Bible. We'll just call it a Bible. But usually Bibles are for TV shows, and I do have a video of like a Bible, or like how I make my Bibles for TV shows. But this is gonna be for the book. And initially I made the story into a pilot for a TV show, and now I am writing a book for it. So I want to get really into like the world building. So this is kind of like a world building vlog, and I wanted to show you what I had so far. So this is the cover page. I'm trying to figure out what my log line is going to be, but once I figure that out, I will put it under the title. The title is called The Between, and I found this image and I thought it was kind of perfect because it looks like they could be in the between, which is like what I'm calling the other world. And I have like the friend group is 2 guys and 2 girls, and then the person who goes missing is a female. So we will continue on. And then here are just some images of what I want the between to look like. Essentially what the between is like another world where these kids can go to kind of just be themselves. They're kind of like archetypes. They fit these specific archetypes, so they hang out with people who kind of are in those archetypes. But when they're in the between, they can be themselves. They don't have to fit into any society or rules, and they can be friends. But when they're at home, like in the normal world at high school, they can't really be seen with each other because people will think that's weird. Like, why are these people hanging out with each other? So the between is kind of this other world that can form and morph into different scenes and scenery, and basically give them like their desires and wants and needs all in this world that they can't get at home. So it looks different to like each friend that's in the story. And initially what I had envisioned is that it kind of is, it's at a beach, like the entrance is at a beach, and then you have to go into these caves to go into this world. And I'm still trying to figure out what lures them to this world. I think I might have an answer to that. In the show, they're ghouls that lure them, but I feel like I might change that to a different creature that lures them. So this is the only way they can enter is through this cave, and the cave is called The Den in my story, and it's kind of like a hangout spot for like the teens, and it takes place on the East Coast. So that's where it mainly takes place, in like a small Massachusetts town is kind of what I envisioned. So yeah, you go to these caves and then all of a sudden you're in this new world. So I picked a couple of images to kind of show that it's a little dark, like something off is happening. And this image is kind of like how I pictured one of the characters, like how she dies. So I had put that in there. And then there's a cabin. There's like a location that 2 of the characters go to a lot, which is like a cabin. And that's kind of where they can be themselves and be together. And something happens like in this cabin, which they will figure out later. So those are just some images. And then I have just some images of like the tone and like the style, and this is kind of like time period as well. I also want to like lay out some friendship kind of images as well. It's gonna be dark. It's a dark show, and obviously about friendships, and there's 4 friends, so I picked those images. It's also gonna be set kind of like tail end 80s to 90s, so I felt like these pictures kind of fit the vibe. I really like this one as well because I feel like this could be an interesting scene to write. And then this kind of like reminds me of like Parker. That's one of my characters. This reminds me of his like world when he's in the between. I'll get more into his character, but like this image really reminded me of my main character. It's that. Then we have our key characters. I'm really trying to outline these characters because the characters are very important. They kind of shape the world that I'm writing. So I liked this image because it kind of looked like a memory. And obviously there's five people here, which is another reason why I chose this. But in my story, one of those people goes missing. So I felt like this kind of perfectly captured like their friendship in the between. It's like kind of summery vibes, and I thought this picture was like absolutely perfect to capture their friendship. Then we have the character profiles. So I was inspired, I don't know her name, but I was watching some world building YouTube videos of Authortubers, and I'll link her channel down below. I can't remember her name, but I really liked how she like laid out her characters, kind of used her tools to lay out my characters. So we have Parker, obviously, who I mentioned, and his archetype is like the loner. So he's very aloof and like doesn't have many friends outside of the between. I thought this picture was perfect for him because he does like music and he wants to be a musician. That's not his goal in the book, but music is really important to him in his life. His mom is a musician, and there's just a lot of like music things happening in his life. Same Authortuber who I followed, she had like 5 images that kind of captured her book, but I wanted to do that for the characters. I thought that was a really interesting thing. So like kind of 5 symbols that are really important to my characters. So I have a journal, and I'm not going to get too deep into these, but there's like certain scenes and certain things that happen to Parker that like these symbols like describe him best. So we have a journal, we have a heart locket, we have a portable CD player, because again it's like 90s early or late 80s early 90s. We have drumsticks because he's a musician. Then we also have a bike, very important to our story early on. And I have his main goal, and his main goal is obviously to find out what happened with Catherine and to bring his friends back together. And Catherine is the one who goes missing. And then this person did like 5 character traits. I described them. So how I laid it out is like how they start off in the book to like what I want their arc to kind of be. So I put their archetype here. So they're the loner. He is very despondent and kind of desperate in the beginning because he's really trying to get his friends together in the beginning. Then we have endearing, happen like later in the book as things kind of, you know, come to a head. He becomes more endearing as a person, and then also very determined. So those are my key traits for him, and this is kind of how I want him to end up at the end of the book. His secret is that he was at the scene of the crime when Catherine died, but he has no memory of it. He has no memory that Catherine is dead. He thinks she's just missing, and he has no memory of being there. His fear is that he's afraid he'll be tempted to stay in the between before he can find out what happened with Catherine. The between is very tempting, and it makes you want to stay there because of like all the things it brings you. So yeah, he's really scared that he will be overtaken by this place and want that to happen. And so the person who I was watching their like world building video, she put a quote of her book. I don't have anything of my book yet. So I'm in the very early outlining and world building stages. So I used quotes that kind of describe the character to me that I just found online. I don't know where I've never heard of this book, I'm assuming. I thought this quote perfectly captured like who Parker is as a person at the beginning. In his face, there came to be a brooding peace that is seen most often in the faces of the very sorrowful or the very wise. But still he wandered through the streets of the town, always silent and alone. I thought that just like perfectly described my character. That is our main character, Parker. Then I really like this page. So essentially what I'm going to do for each character is design like their bedroom and their home, because I think their bedrooms and homes can really shape who a character is. And I'm going to do it for each character. I only have one of the characters so far, but yeah, here is the layout. So this is like what I want the room to look like. Obviously a lot of posters because he is a musician and likes rock music. And I do have a playlist for this story. so I might share it with you guys if you are interested. But he also really likes like old school hip hop and like old school rock. Obviously not old to him because it's of that era, it's like older to us. But this, I don't like where the window, it looks like New York, but I want my story to take place in like a small East Coast town, not a city. So I wish I could change that, but I can't. But this room was like exactly how I wanted. I wanted his bed to be very secluded to kind of match how he feels as a person. His desk is, I would like the desk a little messier because he doesn't really care about keeping his home or like his space clean. So this is a little too orderly, but I liked all the elements of it because we've got like a record display, we've got posters, again, we've got guitars, and then like his desk, his workspace. So there's a lot of elements of this room that I thought would fit him. We also have a color palette, so I want it to be very dark and moody because that's how he is as a person. So dark colors, confined bed, obviously rock band, musician are kind of words that kind of fit his the style of his room as well. And just very dark color palette, very dark. His actual home is a little different, so I want him to be like, his home is very much of like a very small cottage. I want to show a divide of like the poor and the rich in this story. And so his actual home is going to be like really small and really tiny. There's still very homey, different from like his room. So this is kind of like what I want the living room to look like. Obviously it's going to be a lot smaller than most living rooms because it is a small little cottage, but it is well lit, like kind of warmly lit and very well kept because he lives with his aunt right now, and she's very much like the opposite of him and likes to keep everything clean and orderly and just like very cozy. And I don't know why, but I pictured his like backyard to be kind of overgrown and like a lot of flowers, a lot of plants. I feel like his aunt, or not his aunt, but this is his mom's home, but his aunt obviously lives with him right now. And I feel like his mom loves to garden. So I wanted like a lush garden of a backyard. And then the kitchen is gonna be very opposite of the living room. It is a place where people gather, but it's very cold and just not a lot going on, just very bleak, and you don't necessarily want to eat there. They don't use this kitchen for like cooking meals. Like his aunt likes to do takeout, and like, because she's a busy woman, so there's not a lot of gatherings happening here. So I want the room to kind of like look like that. That is Parker's home and room design. I think this is really cool to do for characters. It gives me more of a sense of like who they are and how I can describe them in the book itself. So I'll do this for like each of my characters. Then we're moving on to Natalie. So Natalie is the new girl in my story. She comes in around the inciting incident, and her father is the investigator of this mystery because he kind of knows a little bit about like the town. He used to live here, but he hasn't lived here in a very long time, and he knows like certain things that other people might not know about this town, which is why he was picked for the investigator. And they're from California, or like he moved to California and that's where their family lives. And so she's very much of a California girl. So I felt like this person fit that vibe, like very California girl, very cool, very like hobo chic, I guess I would describe her as. And then her items are concert tickets, a bow, wine glasses, surfboard because she's a California girl, and a camera and some images. So I'm not gonna like go into detail of like what these items are and like why I chose them because they're kind of spoilers, but they're very important to her role in the book. Her goal is to remember what happened to her when she met Catherine and to find out what the between really is. Obviously, she's new to this town. She has no idea what this world is and why she might have a connection with Catherine. So a lot of these images kind of relate to that. I'll just say that. Her character traits, she is obviously the new girl. That's her archetype. She is hesitant at first. She's very hesitant, like at first, but she really wants to be friends with Parker in the beginning. She's very loving, bubbly, and trustworthy. Like she becomes really trustworthy at the end. Initially, people kind of question her and don't understand why she's so like into this mystery. So at the end, she kind of becomes more trustworthy. Her secret ties to a lot of these items here. But so she's the new girl, but she had a fling with Catherine at a music festival last summer. They both got incredibly drunk and almost killed someone. So she also wants to try to find out what happened like that night she met Catherine, because she really doesn't have any memory of that night. And she has no idea why she has such a strong pull to like Parker and Catherine. So she really wants to find out. Her fear is that she'll have to leave her new school again after making new friends if anyone found out about her past. So she moves around a lot. I mean, they've been in California for a while, but she's kind of like a rebel almost and gets into a lot of trouble. But she is all these things, but she like does things that are questionable, and she just doesn't have a lot of like self-confidence in herself. So she does a lot of reckless things to kind of appease other people. So she gets into a lot of trouble because of that. So in her past, she had to move a lot, but she really likes it here in Massachusetts and like really likes Parker and like it's an attachment to Aaron and Melanie and like wants to become friends with them. But people don't trust her and they're like, why would we become friends with you? So that is kind of Natalie's backstory. Then we have the quote that I chose, and it is, "As it is, I will always be a stranger who never feels at home, who does not really want and is not really wanted, who can never belong." So I thought that captured her like perfectly to a T. Oh, and then the backgrounds of these images are also like very, I picked them for a reason. So like she's a California girl, so I picked a beach. And then Parker, very isolated, very lonely, so like very dark background. Then we have Aaron. So if you couldn't tell, he is an athlete. And that is his archetype. So his items are like a testing and football helmet, football, like an ice chest, and a beach towel. These are all kind of random, but they all like make sense in my head. So, I mean, these two go together, and like maybe this one, but these ones are a little different from everything else, but they go into his secret. So his secret is he buys old tests to ace the current one. He buys old tests to ace the current ones that he has to take to keep up his grades in order to stay on the team. His fear is that, oh, I didn't write his fear. Okay, well, I will have to write his fear. His goal is to be the star quarterback for validation that he is good enough. And his character traits are obviously the athlete. He is very caring as a person. He himself, like, there's a lot of doubt inside him because he feels like he's never good enough to be the star quarterback, just with living in a strict household and his father never really thinking that he is going to be a good enough athlete. So he's very doubtful of himself. So, but he kind of shields that doubt and is very cocky in the beginning to kind of hide that doubt he has. But at the end, I want him to become really confident in himself and also very supporting and like supporting of his friends. He really wants to be close with these friends that he's made in the between, but make him seem less than. So like it's really hard for him to be friends with these people, but he really wants to share his like support for these people and like what they're going through. And the quote I chose is, "The real tough guys, they don't have to cheat. They get it done before the whistle." I was like, I thought that was just perfectly captured him as well, and especially like with his secret. And we have the last character. Well, not really. There's one more, but I haven't worked on her profile yet. This is Melanie, and this is kind of who I pictured. So her trait, like her archetype, is an academic scholar, and she's very intelligent, but also very cold. So she's very hard to read and doesn't let in a lot of people right away. So she's very like distant sometimes too. Then she later on becomes really compassionate after her friends really help her out through a tough time. And then she herself becomes trustworthy of like everyone else. She has a really hard time trusting people. At the end, she kind of trusts everyone. Her main goal in the book is she wants to get into Harvard without letting anything get in her way. And her secret is that she got high off speed to study for a really big test. And while she was high, she jumped off a cliff and almost killed herself, like accidentally. She didn't want to do this, but she almost hurt herself really bad in front of her entire class. Her fear is that she's afraid of disappointing herself, her family, and her friends. And the quote I chose is, "Truth is an honest saint, ignorance is a helpless scholar, knowledge is a kind sage." I just, again, thought that was like, that perfectly captured who she is as a person. Got my little Jungkook mug. Her 5 items, we have bench, and this relates to her secret. Then we also have a diploma. Obviously, like her one goal is to graduate and to get into Harvard. Like that is what she really wants in life, is to go to Harvard. So she needs to graduate with ace grades and all of that. Then we have camcorder, and this also relates to her secret. And we also have a journal and like music and coffee. She's always studying. She is just a scholarly girl. And then glasses, which I have in there because there's a particular scene that I have in mind between her and Aaron. And it's kind of like they open up to each other during this scene. So that's why I have glasses there. So that is my last character for now. I'm going to write Catherine's profile, but I am pretty tired now. I spent most of the morning like reacting to videos, and now I did this for like over an hour-ish, and I'm a little tired, and I just want to wind down, and that is what we are going to do. So I think I'm gonna continue this tomorrow, and I'll write Catherine's profile and I'll show that profile to you. And then I will make more of these room designs, which I had a lot of fun doing. So I think that'll be tomorrow. I am going to a VR movie thing. It's not going to be that long, I don't think. So I'm going to do that in the morning, and then might pick up some coffee on the way home and work on this and like editing and stuff. That is my Sunday plans. So yeah, I had a lot of fun like writing these character profiles. I was really inspired by that video that I found, and I'm using Canva, which I really like Canva, but I know some people don't. So you can use whatever tools you want, but I frequently use Canva and I really like it. So I think that's the plan. this weekend is to finish this and then to get more into the weeds of like the characters themselves and like what happens to them in the story. So that might be a second part. I might do like a second like outline with me. This is more of like world building, character development kind of video. So yeah, I'm gonna stop here. I've talked a lot, so I will chat with you guys later. Okay guys, so I got a new mic, which I'm going to be using for the vlogs. I don't know how it's going to go. I know nothing about mics, but this one had pretty good reviews, and I feel like I see a lot of people with this mic. So yeah, we'll see how it works. But I wanted to show you guys the complete world document that I have for my book. So I'm pretty much done, I think, with this document. It's kind of like a Bible, or rather like a lookbook almost. So I think it's pretty much complete. I don't think I have anything else to add to this. And I know the characters pretty well for this, so I might start writing the book soon because I don't really outline a whole lot. I might write out like some beats and stuff, so that might be like a separate vlog. But I just wanted to show you the complete Bible. I showed you most of it, so I might skip over some slides so that there's no repeating. So I showed you this slide before. This is kind of like how to get into the between and some of what the between looks like in my eyes. So that's kind of this page. Added this page. I wanted to add a couple more images to show you what the world looks like. So obviously it's kind of like a dream world, and it's gonna look different to every character. So I have a bunch of different scenes in here that I kind of pictured. I really like this one at the top here. That's actually from Team's firework music video, which is so beautiful and kind of an inspiration for certain scenes of my book as well. So, and TV show. But I love this like meadow that they were in. And then I have some like galaxy imagery. This kind of looks like a painting, but I thought it looked really cool. This one at the bottom here. And I also have a scene that has some butterflies in it, and there's also a waterfall scene. So there's just going to be a bunch of different fun little locations in the between. So I wanted another slide to add to kind of visualize the world a little bit more. Then I showed you this one. This is kind of like my theme page. So obviously it's going to deal with bonding and friendships and like found family and stuff like that. So I kind of already showed you this, but that's what this slide basically is. And I just added this slide because I wanted to show more of like the town that they live in. I pictured it as like an East Coast town with like some beaches, but also some like hilly areas, and also pictured it like in the fall. So I thought these images were really good. This image up at the top right corner reminded me of my character Catherine and a scene that I had envisioned, so I added that there. I'm also setting this in the 90s, so I had some images that kind of remind me of the 90s. And also, one of my characters is a football player, and Catherine is a cheerleader. So I included an image of like a football game, specifically the cheerleaders. But just know that there will be some football scenes. Obviously, key character profile still the same. I just love that I found this photo because it really reminds me of the friend group. Obviously, my friend group is a little more diverse than this one, but this image kind of captured their friendship, so still love it. So I added a couple things to the character profiles. I ended up making characters on Artbreeder, which I've heard about from multiple. I wasn't sure about using this because it is AI, and I'm not the biggest fan of AI, but I kind of wanted to test it out and see what I could come of it. And this is who I came up for Parker. And this is obviously still kind of my inspiration image for Parker. So I feel like they are fairly similar. And yeah, I actually really liked how he turned out because I just pictured him as dark hair, blue eyed rocker boy. And I feel like that perfectly captures Parker. But everything else on the slide is the same. So I'm not going to mention anything else. Then I changed a little bit to his room. So I added this image for his kitchen. Initially, the kitchen I chose was a little bit too rich and luxurious looking, so I picked one that is more homey because they are on like the poor side of town and they don't live in that lap of luxury, but it is kind of like well kept and there's a lot of greenery. Again, I feel like his mom is probably like really into gardening, so I feel like she would have a lot of plants in her kitchen. So I thought that this image was more suited for Parker's home. And here's Natalie's. Again, not much change, but I did add her Artbreeder character, and actually it looks really similar to this girl that I initially picked as the inspiration photo, which I was trying to do, but I didn't realize how close it actually looked. So I was really pleased with myself. And I think this is perfect. Like, this is Natalie. This is who I picture Natalie as. So really pleased with that. And I feel like it also really goes with her character traits as well. So yeah, just overall really pleased. And then nothing really changed with her. Or did I show you her homeroom design? I don't know if I did. But she is a California girl, so she's going to have some surfboard. She likes surfing, and her home is more homey feeling and more in the middle class range, but I wanted her home to look very like this would be a home for gatherings and stuff like that. Then we have Aaron. So I added his fear because I realized I had not changed his fear here. So his fear is that he'll never be able to prove his worthiness to his dad or his friends. He kind of, if I can like give an example of a character who I was inspired by, it would be Nathan from One Tree Hill, which I am watching as far as like a friendship and that kind of storyline to kind of give me some inspiration for the book. And I feel like Nathan is really a good example of like who I think Aaron is going to be. But he's obviously a lot nicer than Nathan was because Nathan was not really nice in the beginning. So he is pretty nice and caring like in the beginning, and but still has like doubts in himself, and later on he'll like become more confident and stuff like that. This is his Artbreeder character. Again, fairly similar to who I chose. Obviously, I wanted him to have shorter hair, so I changed his hair and like his bone structure a little bit because he is going to be mixed race, I think, in my story. So him and Natalie are both going to be mixed race in my story. So that is Aaron. But again, fairly similar to who I picked, which is kind of wild how good I did that. And then I added his room. I don't think I had his room before, but obviously he's a football player, so his room is going to be football focused. I intend to have like a lot of memorabilia in there and like his trophies from growing up and just like a bunch of posters of like athletes and stuff like that, but very like a boy's room. So his colors are like very boy. There's blue, brown, dark green, like that's kind of his color vibe that I'm going for. His home, so he is going to be on the rich side of town. So his home is very luxurious, rich, but also very empty because his family isn't there too often. Because I think I want his dad to be like an agent. So he's just like never really around and kind of just abuses his power at the home. So it's just very empty, but like he throws a lot of parties at this house because he has all this like access because his parents aren't there. So I chose this for the background because I just had some scenes of like really fun party scenes at his house, and then like a very fancy kitchen that's like not really used and very clean, well kept, and same with the living room. So that is Aaron's room and home design. And then lastly, I don't think I showed you Melanie. Or yeah, I think I may have shown you Melanie. Yeah, I think I did. But yeah, obviously she is our academic scholar. She's very smart, intelligent, all of that. But so this is her art breeder character, and I really like how hers turned out as well. Again, this is like the inspiration photo I had of her, but I didn't. So this is her. I think this is like perfectly her. I think I would have her wearing glasses, obviously. Again, that's part of her character. Like there's a moment when she has a tough time figuring out if she wants to take her glasses off and wear contacts because she feels like she's made fun of because of like how smart and intelligent she is and the glasses she wears. So again, she like has a conversation with Aaron about her glasses, and yeah, so I envision her with glasses, but I couldn't figure out how to put it through Art Breeder. But anyway, so that is Melanie. And I don't think I showed her room. I think that's what I did not show you. But I envisioned very light academia, a lot of books in her room, a lot of bookshelves, and like Greek god statue kind of decorations. And she's also on the wealthy side of town. Her dad is a lawyer. I envision her dad a lawyer. I'm not sure what her mom is yet. I have to figure that out. But very smart family. Very, very. So yeah, I also envision her room a lot lighter than Natalie's, like very white pastel and not a lot of greenery in there. I do think there will be green tones, but not a lot of plants. I don't think she'll be very good at taking care of plants. So yeah, and again, her backyard, very luxurious, same as Erin. But her parents are relatively strict and are always there. But they do like to show off their money. So they have a very nice kitchen. I feel like her home would also be very open and like a lot of windows and stuff. So yeah, and very nice living room as well. Okay, so I did not do a slide on Catherine, and there's a reason for that. So she's obviously the lead missing person in our story, so she's not going to be in the story itself very often. She will be in like flashbacks and memories and dreams, but she's not like a central living character. So I did not add her to this document, but she obviously is kind of like a ghost in this story a little bit because she will be talked about a lot, and a lot of like what my main characters are doing in the story is dealing with her and her death. So she will be very much present, but not like a main character obviously. If I could describe her, she's almost like Twin Peaks. So the original Twin Peaks, the very first couple of seasons. Okay, I can't find her name, but if I find it, I will put it here for you guys. But she is like the person who dies in the story and what the investigation is about. And it's funny, I had this idea of this story before I even heard about Twin Peaks, but when I like pitched it in grad school, a lot of people had recommended Twin Peaks and I was like, "Oh, yes, very very similar." Although Twin Peaks is set in real world, mine is going to be set in real world but also like this portal fantasy. So it's more like Twin Peaks kind of meets Stranger Things a little bit, but the world is a little brighter. My world is like these kids want to go to this world. So, yeah, that's kind of the best way I could describe it. I can't figure out books yet that are similar to this one. There's that one Portal Fantasy series that I had read from, but I never finished. They're like the short stories. Again, if I remember them, I'll put them here for you guys. But that's the only one that I can really think of that's kind of similar, but it's not really. The Wayward Children series, is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. But yeah, I am really excited to get writing. And the next video will probably be me like kind of outlining and then getting into the weeds of writing. But I think I'm going to take a week off from writing. I just feel a little burnt out with everything, like with the reaction channel, with work. And I actually have most of the week off for Thanksgiving. So I'm not going to have anything like any of my equipment with me to edit or anything. I might post some shorts here and there, but I just want to be present and like with my family and friends. So, because I haven't seen them in a while. So I just want to hang out with them. And I don't think I will have time to even really edit shorts. So because I'm pretty much busy on Wednesday. I'm obviously going to be spending time with my family on Thursday. And I'm hanging out with my friend all day on Friday. So I'm going back to the Bay Area. I'm really excited, but I just wanted to share this with you. And I hope you enjoyed this. I feel like I gave a lot of info about outline books and I really want to finish this book. I have started a lot of books and I've only completed a couple that I think could maybe go on to like a second round of edits. Yeah, so hopefully you like this content. I think like once I'm done outlining, it'll pretty much be like writing vlogs, just me writing the actual like manuscript and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I think I showed you my mood board to you guys a while ago. I will put it here for you guys if I have not, but I printed them out. I went to CVS and I printed them out. They were having a photo sale. So I got a pretty good deal on these and I am really excited to put them up on my wall. I had to make kind of like a frame for them because when I initially made this in Canva, it wasn't the correct, like they didn't have the correct size to print. So I had to make it like slightly bigger. So here is the between, which I just really love. This is like the between to a T. This is everything, at least like visually, it is. And I am just so pleased with how this turned out. And I'm going to put it on my inspiration wall, which I'll probably show you at the end once I put it together. And then the other project that I talked about in a previous vlog that I'm still working on, I just am taking a little break from writing. I just need my mind to relax a little bit. I think I'm doing a bit too much right now, but I really can't help it. So the quality of my title isn't as good on this one. I don't know why, but this is Project K-pop. So this is the script that I'm working on right now, my film. And I believe I showed you this one as well. And I just love how it looks. It looks so beautiful. So yeah, those are the two projects. And yeah, I am very excited for these projects actually. I am really excited to try and write the between in book form. Again, it's been a minute since I've written in prose, but I feel like my writing is kind of at its best right now. So I really want to test the waters with that. And I really love the story. And I want it to be something. So yeah, that is everything. And I was trying to make this a shorter video, but it's kind of long. So yeah, but there's a lot to talk about and there's a lot to show you guys. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next video. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, definitely do, only if you want to. Again, I will post shorts on my journey as well. So look forward to that, and I will talk to you guys later.